Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sarah Scoop Show. We have the lovely Alayah here. Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah. Hello, Alayah. How have you been since your time on Bachelor?
Oh, I've been good. Just finally officially been here, which is crazy. So just kind of adjusting to normal life, I guess.
When you think back to The Bachelor, what was it that you even wanted to be a part of this franchise and go on the show?
Well, I've always been like a huge romantic. So I've always admired the romantic aspect of The Bachelor. And it's just like the biggest, most grand version of romance in my mind. So that plus the idea like, okay, I can go and I can meet this awesome person, Peter, was really exciting to me. And I was like, okay, my inner romantic satisfied. I can hopefully find my person through this process. So I was going in super hopeful for that big happily ever after ending.
And I know that pageants were a part of your past. Was that something that helped lead you to the opportunity to even go on the show? Were you one of those people that just randomly applied online and next thing you know, you're kind of just going through it?
Yes, that was more my situation. Pageants really, even though The Bachelor has had a slew of pageant girls lately, I don't really think pageants have any direct correlation with the amount of girls that are on the show. I know my pageant experience didn't say like, oh, hey, you should try to apply for The Bachelor. We have a connection. It wasn't anything like that. I think I feel like the reason so many pageant girls have gotten cast as of lately is we're not scared of cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a normal person would go into an interview and have this giant camera in your face and kind of freeze up and feel weird, where we're so used to it. That's pretty much been our whole career for the last however long we've been doing pageants, which makes it a little bit easier to transition into that. But no, I applied online. My mom and I were having wine one night. We were a little tipsy and we just decided, you know what, let's just see what the application looks like. And one thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm getting a call from casting asking if I want to come in for an interview. And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, I just was looking at the application. This is crazy.
When you were on the show, you were a part of a little bit of drama. There's so much drama in this new season. So I'm excited to hear kind of both perspectives as someone that was on the show and a part of some drama and then somebody that watches the show now.
I definitely wasn't expecting to be put in the middle of so much drama. And I'll tell you, watching it back is so weird. Like, we've all had our share in life of drama with friends or with, it's inevitable in life. There's going to be somebody who doesn't like you and some kind of tension in the workplace or whatever. It's different when it's on Bachelor World because you watch it back, you live it, and then you get to relive it later in addition to hearing all the behind the scenes commentary of the other people. So it's like this weird third dimension of drama, if that makes sense. So watching it back was really hard. Personally, I just have always had a really loud personality. I've been known to just be like pretty eccentric and pretty just outgoing and loud. I'm not a shy, quiet person. So thrown into that environment, I was not going to change the way I am. I was going to continue to be my loud, normal person. And when you're flirting with a guy and trying to get his attention, you're going to try to be a little bit of extra outgoing so that you don't blend into the crowd. So that was kind of my, I guess, strategy, you could say, going into it. Is like, okay, I'm not going to let myself turn into this wallflower. I'm going to be myself and let him see me. Well, that clearly didn't sit well with other people. They were like, well, you're turning it on for the cameras. I'm like, what are you talking about? The cameras follow Peter. I'm turning it on for Peter, but okay, whatever. Like, if you think it's for the cameras, then fine. I don't really care. And one thing led to another. And then this person told Peter, and bless his heart, it's just so much of a she said. And he's just having to kind of make his decision based off pure intuition, which isn't always easy. So it was a lot, and I'm not normally a very confrontational person, so I didn't like being in the middle of all the drama. I didn't really know how to handle it. That my time on the show was probably the most confrontational I've ever been in my entire life, because you don't really have much of a choice. All of this drama surrounding you in your home environment, and unless you attempt to squash it head on, you're just kind of screwed. Which is kind of what happened to me. I got put into the drama. I got sent home almost immediately, which is a lot of why I decided to come back to try to clear my name and clear my reputation with Peter, which clearly worked. I stayed. And then one thing just led to another, and it just continued to get worse. So it wasn't the best of times, but we survived. It's fine.
It's interesting, though, that you bring that into perspective. You necessarily weren't turning it on for the cameras. It was more, they would just captured you when you were with Peter.
Right. They're not showing the quiet moments where you're taking a nap by the pool or when you're reading your book in the kitchen. They're showing kind of the more fiery, gossiping moments, which makes sense. Nobody cares to see those slow times. So yeah, of course, when nothing's going on and we're bored all day, I'm sleeping. I took so many naps. But then, Peter comes around to pick somebody up for a group date or for anything. And I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, yes. Hey, oh my God. Hi, yeah, let's talk. I don't, you just don't want to blend in.
So then I want to hear what you think about this season. There is so much drama.
I feel like, and maybe it's because I lived through my season. Everybody always says that Peter's season was the worst season, is what I'm hearing. So I hear that all the time, that our season is unfortunately known as the worst. They don't want to see us on Paradise. They don't want to see, just no, which is sad, considering like this was our experience, and it's unfortunate. That's how the public views it. So I don't necessarily know. I feel like now I watch the show with kind of a different vantage point, having lived it. So I will say that some of the girls on the show definitely are characters. I don't typically judge. I try to always give people the benefit of the doubt unless I'm physically watching these words come out of their mouth. And then I feel like, okay, yeah, like you can't blame anything else other than yourself when I'm watching you spew and say these horrible things. So these girls are pretty brutal.
I almost feel like it's taking away from the actual concept of the show, like the love story that people are looking for.
And that's kind of how I felt with our season 2 and this season. I feel like they're very similar in terms of it's girl against girl, not really like a damn, I'm jealous of you, but I'm still focused on my relationship. And there's that every season, but I feel like these last 2 seasons have been especially bad with the cattiness between the girls and the, okay, well, I'm going to get closer to him by bringing you down type of thing. And I just don't really see how that benefits you. Because the way I think of it too is, you go through this whole process, that inevitably it's going to be shown on TV, whether that's at the forefront of your mind or not. It's going to be shown on national television. And if you do end up with the lead, so Peter in our situation, Matt in this situation, they're going to see all of that. So if you, let's just say this plan works and you bring down all the girls, you bully everybody in the house, and you end up victorious at the end with your man, he's going to watch this back. And then how are you going to explain yourself? Like, why not just let it go as it goes and end up happy because he chose you versus like, oh, I tore everybody down and now I have to explain myself when it's being shown. That's how I think about it. So much of the cattiness and the drama, the lead doesn't get to see because they're only hearing what's being brought to them and the conversations they're engaging in. So I'm like, I wonder how they feel watching this back and seeing the private interviews, the little diary room interviews, or how they're seeing these interactions between the women when somebody's just like shutting the other person down. Like, well, I'm going to say what I want to say and I don't really care if you like it or not. Or, well, I think that you're like a toxic, crazy person. Like they watch this back, and I can't help but think like, if I was in the lead and that was a reverse position, I would be like, gosh, I really messed up keeping that person there when in reality, they were the toxic one. But that's not what I physically saw. So I feel a lot of sympathy for the lead when it comes to rewatching their season.
It would definitely be an interesting position to be in, and especially this current season, like never being on the show before, anything like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So let's talk about the lead on your show. So you went on to meet Peter. Peter has had a lot of like backlash. He picked someone, then someone else, then he had someone else from this season. What are your thoughts on Peter at this point?
So I've always thought the world of Peter. That's why I went on the show. I think he's a great person. I feel like this whole experience was maybe too much in his journey for love type of thing, especially since, he's basically gone through 3 of his final 4 at this point. So I don't know. I always say I don't know if it's just that like when he got down to his final 4, emotions are so high, it's hard to make a final decision maybe in that quick of a time frame. So when he ended up with Kelly, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is it. Like, maybe Kelly's his person and things are going to go great. And it seemed that way for a while. And then they broke up, which, of course, I don't know the details of their relationship. I don't know if it was good, if it was bad. I don't know anything. But I do, like, really, I feel really bad for Peter. I feel like he is getting the rap as the worst bachelor. I keep seeing, which is a horrible thing to say. He's really, really, really a nice guy. He's super sweet. In my interactions with him, I never got like a sleazy vibe from him. He was always real comforting and warm and welcoming and really kind and sweet, a little nerdy, but in a cute way. So I just feel really bad for him. This will blow over eventually. I just don't know when. So yeah, I feel bad for him.
Earlier, you said something about people weren't going to be on Paradise and things like that, but like, is that something you would consider doing?
So at the moment, no. Paradise really isn't something I see in my future. I am in a relationship now. I'm super happy. So Paradise really isn't even in my brain for the future. But even prior to meeting my current boyfriend, I was very hesitant about going on Paradise just because my experience personally wasn't at all what I was hoping. I found myself in a lot of drama that I really didn't feel I could get out of. I tried to stay true to myself, and that really didn't seem to work for me. And so I worried that I would be going into Paradise for the wrong reasons, not necessarily for more attention or for fame, but for the wrong reasons in terms of wanting to show people the real me. But I was being the real me on my season. So it was like I would just kind of go in hoping that I would be reaccepted, if that makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes the villains go into Paradise and they come out being liked again. And so I was like, well, maybe that will be my situation. It wasn't as much to find love, which made me super hesitant to even want to go onto Paradise.
No one knows what they would be like in a situation like that.
Right. Yeah. And Paradise, I don't know. I wasn't originally 100% against it. I was super scared. I was super hesitant. It was just scary because it was such I know it's better in some ways because there's a just about even amount of girls and guys. So there's more opportunity to kind of jive and find somebody you like rather than like, okay, there's one lead and 30 girls. There's 12 guys and 10 girls or vice versa. But at the same time, you're on an even bigger time constraint. It's like, okay, you just got here. You have 1 week or whatever it is to match up with somebody for the first rose ceremony. But then the next week you could find somebody else. And I was just like, it's a lot of pressure going into something. So I was real nervous. And then luckily, like I said, I found my boyfriend and I'm super happy now. And so it's like, I don't need Paradise because I already found love. So I'm good. But.
And how meeting your boyfriend and things after the show, how was dating after being on The Bachelor?
Dating was really hard. So not to mention, so filming ended for us in like November-ish time. And then COVID hit about March. So, I mean, immediately coming home from the show, dating was the last thing on my mind. That wasn't really something I was even interested in because I was coming off the rejection from Peter twice and it was just a lot. So dating wasn't really something I started doing and kind of until maybe February. I went on my first date post show. And then COVID hit, which made dating just that much harder. And then you can't help but wonder, like, is this after coming off the show, there's a lot of people that just kind of come out of the woodworks and all of a sudden, like, they've known you your whole life and they're your best friend. And there's a bunch of people that just all of a sudden want to say they know you. And same thing for guys. Guys will want to hit you up just because you were on The Bachelor. And they think that's cool. So it definitely made me hesitant going back into dating. I was like, I don't really know you very well. Like, if a guy would bring up The Bachelor within the first conversation, then I was like, maybe not. Now, if they brought it in like weeks later, okay, whatever. But one thing that I really loved about my boyfriend was when we knew each other back in high school, kind of. We went to the same high school but never talked. When we reconnected post-show, he never watched. He knew that I was on it, and that's it. He still to this day has never watched any bit of me on the show. And I was asked, like, well, don't you kind of want to know, like, what my experience was or what other people see me as if they only know me from the show? And he's like, no, I don't really care. Like, I know you and I know you, like the real you. So I don't really care how other people perceive you or how the show perceived you, or I don't really care to watch you attempt to fall in love with some other guy. I'm good. I got you. We're fine.
You seem like you're in a very happy relationship now. Do you have any advice for single ladies out there then?
Oh my gosh, yes, because I was doing it all wrong before I met this guy. Biggest piece of advice is don't go for your normal type. My boyfriend is not my normal type. I am not his normal type. We're not each other's type. But this is probably the best and healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And we started as friends. Like, we were venting to each other about our crappy love lives and dates that failed, giving each other advice on how to date other people. And then all of a sudden started dating. Kind of randomly out of the blue, we caught feelings for each other. But he wasn't my type. And honestly, at the beginning, I was like, do I like him? I like him? Like, I was in denial. I almost didn't want to like him because he wasn't my type. Which sounds horrible, and he knows this. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. But he was just really sweet, and I was like, you know what? Let me go for the nice guy. Let's see how it goes. And it turned out really good. So rather than dating like the super hot guy that kind of blows you off and is a jerk, go for the nice guy. I promise it's worth it. Like, you want to marry the nice guy, so just give him a chance.
Do you think it's possible still for people to find love on the show? What would you recommend, I guess, for people that maybe started following you from the show that want to also apply?
I'll have people DM me all the time. They want to apply, that they want to be on the show. My biggest piece of advice is, if that's where you feel like you can find your person, then by all means, try it. But you have to think also, it's a very, very difficult, hard situation. It's not going to be speed dating. It's not going to be, dating's hard as it is. Dating one guy and 30 other girls also dating that guy and living with those 30 other girls is exponentially harder. So for anybody that wants to attempt to find love and find their person in that way, go for it. But stay true to yourself. Don't change who you are to try to win the show. It's not how it works. Just go be yourself. Try your best to be kind to other people and stay out of drama when you can. It's a very difficult situation and know that going in. But there's been a lot of successful relationships to come out of the show. And I consider the successful relationships, even the ones that break up, like Claire and Dale. They just recently announced their split. I still consider that a successful relationship because they broke up way, way post-show. They left, they gave it a try in real world for a long time. And just like with anything, you can realize that maybe you guys don't work at the present time, So I still consider those relationships that come out of the show and give it a real chance in life successful in terms of like their time on the show was successful. They found each other. They agreed to give it a try. So yeah, I still think the show is definitely maybe not the easiest way to find your person, but it's still definitely possible to find love in that way.
I'm glad you commented on Claire and Dale because that is a lot of what Bachelor Nation is still talking about.
I know.
How do you deal with that when you were getting like any sort of negative backlash or anything?
Yeah, Bachelor Nation, they're awesome. They're great. They're so supportive and they are truly dedicated fans. But at the same time, they are invested. They are so invested in your life. If you come out of a relationship from the show, they are invested in that relationship, which can be both a very good and very bad thing. So post-show, clearly I was the center of a lot of drama for at least 2 or 3 episodes that were just centered. I was tired of watching myself on TV. I can't even imagine how other people felt watching it. I know the messages I got said that they were tired of seeing me take up time on their TV, but I did get a lot of backlash and hate during that time on the show. And the way that I handled it, it was really hard. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. It was hard because your initial reaction is to want to defend yourself and to try to explain yourself and defend yourself and make them understand what maybe you felt or were going through. And then I just kind of realized that wasn't healthy for myself because some of these people weren't wanting to listen. They were just wanting to argue. And so the best thing to do for me, at least for my mental health, was to allow them just to have their opinions and understand that they are making an assumption based off part of my life, but not my whole life. They don't know me on a personal level. and learn to accept that. And what I would have to do most of the time was just delete the message. If somebody would message me, I truly exercise that block button and that, what's the other, the restricted accounts. I would block hate words. I would block messages. I was using the block button on the daily because some of these people were just ruthless and they were hateful and it just wasn't good for me. So that was truly helpful during my time on the show. I took a lot of breaks from social media. I didn't spend very much time on it while it was all still prevalent and happening and was being talked about. And then after a little while, I felt okay to be on social media a little bit more. So every now and again, once in a blue moon, I'll get some type of hateful message just because now I'm considered an influencer to a lot of people since I have the blue check mark and the large following. And there's also so much pressure on you when you are considered an influencer to always say the right thing and always say the politically correct thing and not offend anybody. And I'm like, guys, I'm still a normal person. Like just because in your mind, I have this huge platform and I'm doing this thing and I'm a public figure is how they're treating me. Like I'm still a normal person. I can still say things that may come across wrong and not mean them in a negative way. Like it's hard and it's an adjustment going from being just like a regular Joe Schmo to somebody who other people consider somebody. It's definitely weird. It's definitely an adjustment period.
I can't imagine some of the things that people probably message to you or other contestants on the show.
They get invested and not in like, there is some super kind people. There are some people that are incredibly kind, but there are some people that are incredibly hateful. And it's unbelievable to me that you could have that want to message a complete stranger these horrible, hateful things. Like it's astounding the things these people can say.
Is there anybody you would like to see? Because I feel like the new season of The Bachelorette is coming up and there are so many people or so many articles online, like this person's going to be the Bachelorette or I want to see them. Is there anyone that you would like to see be the Bachelorette or a few people would you like to see a brand new person or do you have any favorites from Bachelor Nation that you think would make a good lead?
Off the top of my head, it's really hard to think of any favorites from like Bachelor Nation because it's so huge. This season, I really like Abigail. I know a lot of people really like her. I think Katie's really fun and funny. She kind of gives me like early Hannah Brown vibes in terms of she's just her. Like you either like it or not. She showed up night one with her vibrator, but then she kind of turned out to be this empathetic queen. So I'm just like kind of team Katie right now. In terms of like the current girls, if they stick to trend, but I don't know. They surprised us by pulling Claire out of the archives to be Bachelorette. And then they surprised us by bringing Matt, who wasn't even part of Bachelor World, to be the Bachelor. So who knows? They might stick to that trend and just bring somebody totally new into the mix, which I kind of like. It's kind of fun getting to know the lead and the contestants all at once.
New person, maybe it does affect it. I don't know.
I think it's kind of cool because, yeah, like you said, it's just like what we said previously with people have this idea that when they watch the show, they in some way kind of see these normal people as celebrities simply because you're watching it on a large television network and you're watching it on national TV. And in your mind, that kind of makes them larger than life. And so when you go into the show and you meet somebody who was on the previous season and you are watching them and meeting them, you kind of had that same feeling. Like I remember when I met Peter, in a sense, I was a little starstruck, like, oh my God, I'm meeting you in person. This is crazy. Versus like Matt seems super, super cool. He's very handsome. So I'm sure they still had that same like, kind of awestruck moment, but it's completely a clean slate because they only know what they can see from social media, just like any other guy you're going on a first date with. You stalk his social media, you get an idea of who he is from that, not from their whole prior dating experience on national television.
If you were to do your experience over again, would you do it differently or would you just let it play out as it did?
Yes, there's definitely things that I would change if I had the opportunity to do it again, with the knowledge that I have now, I would definitely maybe tone down just a teeny tiny bit my loudness, just a tiny bit, just enough to not offend other people. And I do always, of course, I regret my time when I came back from Ohio and that I didn't just stay quiet and lay under the radar. I should have known a little bit better that I was already coming back and putting a target on my back. I should have laid low instead of speak at all and made it even bigger. So, but they say hindsight's 20/20. What can you do? What's happened, happened. And I'm very happy with how my life turned out now. Like, I'm happy with where I am in life and how everything turned out. Maybe could have avoided some of the hatred I got, but it all worked out in the end.
And it would probably be hard. I guess that question would be difficult. You just never know. Nobody knows how they're going to react in situations. And we'll just watch the show just to see what's happening. But that footage is a lot of time. And we just get to see, like an hour of it or 2 hours.
I think I remember saying something similar to that when the show was airing, and people, of course, were being hateful. Was like, just remember, like, if you had a camera on you 24/7, I'm sure that they would capture moments that you weren't proud of too. Like, it's human nature. There's things that are going to happen that you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that facial expression wasn't really that kind. You're going to capture things that nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's human. It's natural. It's human nature. It was just more public for all of us.
So you have talked a lot about The Bachelor, and I love hearing just your insight as someone that's already been on the show. And I also saw that you have a boutique. What is it like being a boutique owner?
So it's really fun. I do it with my mother. We wanted to open a storefront, and then we're very thankful we didn't, because COVID hit, and that inevitably would have probably put our new growing business under. So I'm very glad we didn't do that. So it's purely online right now, which has been very helpful during these crazy times. But it's really fun. I've always liked fashion. We sell a lot of graphic t-shirts and accessories, and those are some of my favorite things to wear. So it's really fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've gotten a ton of outpouring support from Bachelor Nation towards my boutique, which I so appreciate and I'm so thankful for all the time. So it keeps me busy for sure. I'm always having to take photos and keep up with posting and all of that. So it's rewarding, but it's exhausting also.
Being a boutique owner and doing influencing, whether you were on this show or not, people can become influencers now. Like, they just start, they do it. Like you said, everything is so much more work than people realize. What is it that you love about the way your career works now, the path you've taken, and for people that maybe, follow you because they're also inspired to do something similar?
Yeah. So the biggest piece of advice I have for anybody, whether they want to be a boutique owner, an influencer, own their own business of any kind, anything in life, it's going to be difficult most of the time when you see these boutique owners online or you see these influencers online. You see the highlight reels, you see the finished product. You're not seeing the hours and hours it takes to shoot content for different brands and partnerships, and responding to comments and messages, and making sure that you're putting out content that people actually care about. Same thing with the boutique. It's hard crunching numbers, crunching inventory, making sure that you have enough to cover your inventory, but still make some kind of profit on your business without going under. There's a lot involved behind the scenes, but if you want to do it, it is very rewarding. I feel like the biggest piece of advice is just to stay consistent and stay diligent, and don't give up when it gets hard. Know when to call it quits if it's getting to a point where it's affecting your quality of life, but it's going to be hard, and that's okay. You just have to push through it, stay consistent, and it will work out the way it's supposed to.
Yes, I love that. Consistency is key, is the thing that we always hear. So
for sure. Yeah. And so much so with both the boutique and influencing almost go hand in hand, because a lot of being an online boutique now is coming from social media. That's where most people, you don't see Facebook ads so much anymore. It's more so Instagram, it's TikTok, it's these large social platforms that you're having to utilize to direct people to your website. So it's very similar to influencing in the sense of you have to stay consistent. You have to make sure that you don't go months without posting, that you're posting stories and you're trying to keep people engaged. And people don't realize, like, I feel like influencing gets such a bad rap, especially coming off The Bachelor. You were there for the wrong reasons. Isn't the case most of the time, but it gets such a bad rap that people don't understand. It's a very real career for a lot of people. And so much, it's so easy to support an influencer that you like or that you follow. All it takes is like a like and a comment. Like, it costs you absolutely nothing to support somebody that you enjoy. Same thing with a small business. All it takes is a like and a comment. If you can't buy anything, that alone helps that business's engagement, which helps their exposure, which helps them make sales to somebody who does want and is able to buy the product. So that's a huge thing when it comes to online presence for stores and small businesses. It's like, just, you can support without buying anything, I promise.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, people that are just scrolling along, like, take the time, like, comment, let people know that you appreciate what they're putting out there.
Yeah, for sure. It makes such a big difference. I have a lot of friends that own small businesses, and I try my best anytime they pop up on my feed to engage with the post as much as possible, because I'm like, one small business owner to another, it helps so much.
Being a pageant girl and then like going on The Bachelor and now influencing, do you have any little beauty secrets?
I always get lots of compliments on my hair. I've worked a long time to make it really long and healthy, but I feel like so much of having long hair is using less product, which sounds crazy. You know, there's all these growth serums and there's all these tips and tricks that people give you. I feel like my hair finally started to grow and be healthy when I stopped putting a ton of product in it. And when I stopped washing it every day. So a lot of people are like, oh, I wash my hair every day, every other day. I'm like, I mean, take a shower every day. Yeah, but wash your hair every 3 days if you can. Like, those oils help your hair. I don't brush my hair constantly. I kind of let it just be. I put it up in a bun. I put it up in a ponytail. I do it up when I'm getting dressed for something. I try to avoid over playing with my hair, over styling my hair, over stressing my hair. And I feel like that helps so much. So there's this misconceived notion that if you want long, beautiful hair, you have to, what's that old, like, that, you have to brush your hair 100 strokes a day. My grandma always used to tell me that. Well, when you're brushing your hair constantly all day, you're breaking the end slowly and slowly. Or that you need to put all these serums and this stuff and just let it be. Let your hair be what it wants to be, and it'll grow longer, healthier, and shinier.
I recommend not using all the products. If there were, are there a couple of products that you do use that you would recommend for the long hair?
Yes. Oh my God. I have products I swear by. So I've been using Function of Beauty shampoo and conditioner for like a year now. And people always give me crap. They're like, this is sponsored. This is an ad. I'm like, yes, they sent me product to try, but now I'm obsessed. So just because they let me try it and it was initially like a sponsored review, I am obsessed. So Function of Beauty has been awesome for my hair personally. I swear by leave-in conditioner. So I condition the crap out of my hair. I will put shampoo, scrub the crap out of my scalp, condition my hair in the shower, leave-in conditioner when I get out of the shower and just let it sit. Hair masks. There's this one by Amika. It's called Soul Food. Freaking incredible. I swear by hair masks like once a week, every other week. So good for your hair. And a good brush. Like, invest in a good brush, because a lot of those paddle brushes that you get from like a drugstore are so damaging for your hair. They just rip it out. So invest in like a really gentle brush for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing that insight. I think a lot of women will appreciate that. I feel like that's one of the like top beauty questions always is like how to get long hair.
Right. Yep. It's just patience. It took me years, like back in high school, I guess, yeah, like a few years ago, my hair was here, like up to my shoulders. And then, I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty long. So I never style it. Like, I just took a shower. I let it air dry. I paddle or I round brush my bangs, and that's it. Like, I leave it alone. I wear it in a bun most days unless I have something to look cute for. Just let it live its life. Try to avoid heat styling every day. Buns are really cute. You can get cute heatless hairstyles. Like, just relax.
Keep your hair, ladies. That's the key. Long hair. She has given us all the scoop on how to grow your hair. Thank you so much for such a fun interview. So in the future, we hope that we can keep up with you.
Yes, the best place is Instagram and Twitter to follow me. I probably update there the most. So definitely keep up with me on Instagram. It's just at Alayah Benavidez. It's my name. And I have all of my other accounts linked in my bio. So like Twitter, TikTok, anything you want to follow is on my Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Alayah, for taking the time to chat with me. And we just appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for joining another episode of The Sarah Scoop Show.
Yay, thanks.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.